Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Nick from This 3D Life, and I'm coming at you with this week's episode of my vlogging series. This week, I wanted to talk a little bit about the news that came out of Nintendo's press conference they held earlier this week, in which they announced that they are partnering with DeNA. DeNA is a mobile company that produces a bunch of mobile games, and so the partnership basically is saying that Nintendo wants DeNA to partner with DeNA to bring Nintendo franchises to mobile platform. Which, upon the initial announcement, I was like, oh, wow, this is incredible. I'm going to get all the games that I would love to play, like old Mario, maybe Pokemon, and get them on mobile. Awesome. But then Nintendo came out and they said that they are not just using it to port games over to mobile, but to create entirely new mobile games. And that kind of made me scratch my head a little bit, because there are so many people that now just use emulators on their phones in order to play. Why wouldn't you just make it so you could play a legitimate copy of a Nintendo game that everyone wants to play on the mobile platform? But I kind of shrugged it off and was like, well, let's see. Maybe they'll do something cool, because they did just come up with that Pokemon Shuffle game, I think it's called. It's a match 3 Pokemon game, and I was like, that's pretty cool, and they'll probably port that over, because that's basically seems like they use that as a test run to see if they could make a mobile-like game and see how it would fare. And people really like that Pokemon game. But I investigated this DeNA company a little more, and if you go in and you look at the games that they produce, all of them are free. And that's because they're all on a pay-to-play model. So, yes, you can play them for free, no problem, but in order to really progress in any of the games, you have to sink actual money into them. And a lot of times people end up sinking way more than the value of the game that they would like. If you were to charge me $5 for a Pokemon game, I would just pay you $5. No fucking problem. I would pay you $5 and I would play the game fine. If it's free and you're making me sink $1 here, $1 here, a couple dollars here, and all of a sudden I've paid $15, $20, $30 to play this Pokemon game, I am not down with that. And it seems almost like borderline shady. So I'm a little discouraged about that news. But some good news that came out of the press conference, and almost as like a sign of good faith that Nintendo is still in it for the same reasons they've always been. You know, not that they're moving entirely to this mobile model, but they announced that they are making a new dedicated home console called the NX. So Nintendo announced they're working on a new console. They basically announced it to tell you that they can't tell you anything about it, and next year you'll probably hear more about it, which I don't know if they should have really announced it yet. I mean, I understand the thought process on why they announced it, which is we're coming out, we're saying we're making mobile games, we're partnering with this company that really only makes pay-to-play games. People are going to catch on to that pretty quickly, and they're going to be mad. So we need to give them some good faith that we're going to keep delivering the Nintendo that they love. So they announced that their new home console, the NX. And basically, from what they announced about the NX, the only real detail is they wanted to make a console that could integrate and communicate with their other consoles. So basically what I believe is that they are working on something that will talk to the 3DS and talk to the Wii U. More so, I think they're kind of saying it'll talk to the Wii U, but it's more so for the 3DS, because the 3DS is actually selling and the Wii U is not selling at all. So Nintendo is trying to kind of create an ecosystem that functions with each other, much like Sony's ecosystem with the Vita and the PS3 and the PS4. That sounds very cool to me, but I am a little anxious, because every time Nintendo proposes a really good idea, the execution is poor and dated, and they usually fall kind of short. So my hopes is that this DeNA thing works out for them. It makes them a ton of money, and they're able to really use the money to create a very good competitive home console to really get them back in the race. We'll see. As far as the games that are coming out on mobile, I'm not holding my breath on any of them being anything I really want to play. I mean, you never know. Something cool could come out, and I could get really into it. But I'm more interested in what they're gonna have to say about the NX. But that's basically it. Let me know what you thought about this Nintendo news down in the comments below. And make sure to hit me up on Twitter at iSalsaShark, and make sure to follow This 3D Life at This 3D Life over on Twitter. And we will see you next week.